Welcome to Heartofeconomy. Today, we're shedding light on the shadow side of global finance. The U.S. Department of Justice has just released testimony of Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's closest associate. Trump's name came up, her father Robert Maxwell's alleged ties to Mossad, the Clinton Global Initiative, and even doubts about Epstein's death. At first glance, this may sound like just another scandal, but here we read it through a financial lens. Because these revelations are not only about private lives, they expose the hidden networks of capital, investor confidence, and the dynamics that move markets. And in this video, we'll show you why this case is powerful enough to trigger a chain reaction that ranges from gold prices to cryptocurrencies, maybe even pushing us to ask the deepest question in finance: who really holds the power of money? One of the most striking parts of Maxwell's testimony was her comment on Trump. "I never saw any inappropriate behavior." At first, this may sound simple, but financially it's huge, because the reputation of a leader is as valuable as a country's credit rating. Investors view the personal image of powerful leaders as part of their investment decision-making. A few historical examples: Nixon and Watergate. When the scandal broke, it wasn't only political, it shook the dollar's credibility, pushing investors into gold. Berlusconi and Italy. Legal troubles surrounding the Italian Prime Minister directly raised the country's borrowing costs. Investors didn't trust the stability of leadership. So when Trump came out clean, in Maxwell's words, the message to investors was no extra political risk here. In the short term, that calmed markets. But be careful, Trump's name still appears in these files, meaning the shadow lingers. For investors, that translates to potential uncertainty. The risk isn't erased, it's just postponed. My take: in finance, sometimes the absence of bad news itself is treated as a positive surprise. No negative comment on Trump meant risk premiums didn't rise, but investors will watch closely because these kinds of files rarely stay closed forever. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was one of the UK's most powerful media moguls. But for years, rumors circulated that he was also an agent for Mossad. From a financial perspective, this is critical. Intelligence agencies are deeply tied to finance. Why? Because no operation works without money. And money rarely moves through official banking channels in such cases. A few examples: in the Iran-Contra affair, the CIA financed operations in Latin America through covert funding streams. Mossad in the 1980s allegedly moved hundreds of millions of dollars through offshore shell companies. So, when Robert Maxwell's name resurfaces in this context, investors ask, if even a media tycoon was entangled in hidden financial flows, who else might be pulling strings behind today's markets? Key point here: global capital flows are divided into two layers. The visible one, central banks, stock exchanges, mutual funds, and the hidden one, what we call shadow finance, offshore accounts, tax havens, shell companies. My take: shadow finance is like the underwater part of an iceberg. Investors usually see only the surface numbers, but the real flows often happen below, unseen. Robert Maxwell's name is a reminder. Markets are not fully transparent. Maxwell said she doesn't believe Epstein killed himself. I don't know who did it. What does this have to do with finance? Everything. Because the most valuable currency in the financial system is not the dollar, it's trust. And when trust collapses, here's what happens. In 2008, after Lehman Brothers failed, banks no longer trusted each other. Liquidity froze, and the global financial system almost collapsed. In the 1997 Asian financial crisis, governments said their banks were solid, but when the truth came out, foreign investors pulled out of entire countries overnight. The Epstein case creates the same psychology. If people don't trust official narratives, investors begin to doubt the number of the financial system itself. That changes behavior. Gold shines as the ultimate safe haven. US Treasuries are still seen as the safest paper in the world. Even cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, gain appeal as state-independent alternatives. My take, Maxwell's words are not just personal suspicion. They reveal the deeper issue of transparency and trust in markets. And when trust is shaken, market behavior changes completely. Maxwell also admitted she was involved in the early stages of the Clinton Global Initiative. From a financial perspective, this is another key point. Global philanthropic platforms. Officially, they fund humanitarian causes, but in practice, they also act as financial networks. Here's how it works. Corporations and billionaires donate. The funds flow across countries. On paper, it looks charitable, but in reality, it strengthens political and economic power structures. Examples: the Clinton Global Initiative moved billions into developing countries, but it also became a tool of U.S. soft power. Bill Gates foundations finance healthcare in Africa, but simultaneously open markets for U.S. pharmaceutical companies. My take, these platforms often function as alternative financial systems. The visible story is philanthropy. The invisible one is influence. And investors, when they see this, ask, is the system truly transparent, or are we just watching the moves of elite networks? Now, what does all this mean for the markets? Markets don't collapse from scandals alone, but scandals do shape psychology. Geopolitical risk premium rise. Investors assume the world is more complex than it looks and act cautiously. This caution reshapes portfolios. Gold and silver rally. US Treasuries gain demand. Cryptocurrencies attacked inflows as alternative hedges. Risk of moat kicks in. Tech stocks and speculative assets lose appeal. Hedging costs rise. Investors pay more to insure against uncertainty. My take? Maxwell's testimony is more than scandal. It's a reminder that markets are moved not only by interest rates or earnings reports, but also by hidden networks in the shadows. In the end, Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony shows us this: global finance is not only about stock exchanges, central banks, or interest rates. It is also shaped by networks that operate in the shadows, by intelligence ties, by hidden capital flows, by elite influence. At Heartofeconomy, we'll continue to uncover this hidden side of finance. If this video gave you a new perspective, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Because remember, the economy is not written only in numbers, it's written in power. See you in the next time.